whatsoever. Okay. There is no difference between...
Changed by who?
There has been no change in the Qur'an. The Qur'an is eternal, preserved, faithful, never changed, never sort of that. And between Qur'ans, okay, right? Between Qur'ans, there is no difference whatsoever. Okay, right? Now, I'm just merely trying to establish, okay, whether that is true. I asked him to recite from the Qur'an, right? I asked him to recite Surah 57, verse 23. There are other aspects which we can recite. We can ask him to recite the bit from the Quran which says that the prophets either fought or they were killed. These are known to Muslims, okay? So you cannot... listen, what I get... No, listen.
Let him speak. Yes.
What I get all the time, okay, right, is the barricade, the shouting back, the question, okay. I've been trying to have a sensible conversation on the transmission of the Quran, okay, right? Now, my question is very simple.
What's your question? Yeah.
My question is very simple one. If there are two Qurans where they show different recitations, different verses, different words, different variants at any point, okay, either those variants are accepted, okay, right, and they're known, okay, right, they're known variants and they're accepted variants, at which point you as a Muslim, my friend, have nothing to say about the Bible having variants, or they are not accepted and one of those two Qurans must be false. Now, I have asked you from two separate Qurans. You have the Hafs and you have the Wash. I just named two. I can name Al Dori, I can name Al Susi. These things.
Well, let him finish.
These things are known. These things are known.
I'm listening to you very intensely.
Okay.
There are more than
these
two Qurans.
These things are known to Muslims. Okay. The whole debate is known to Muslims.
Okay.
And I'm merely asking you, okay, to point to me, right, why these two variants are not variants.
Okay. Good.
That is all I'm asking.
Okay, now my response to your questions is, you said there are two Qur'ans.
What's your name, my friend? I don't know.
Adnan.
Adnan.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Steve.
You said there are two Qur'ans.
At least.
Okay.
If that is the case.
Are you saying there are two readings of the Qur'an or two different texts of the Qur'an?
The issue would be the text.
Text.
No,
Show me.
Let me explain this. Why I said. I want to explain this. Why I said.
Wait. We're gonna get somewhere. Don't worry.
It is important why I say.
No problem.
Okay. It's important.
You are claiming that we have two different texts of the Qur'an. Show me.
Okay. What I'm claiming, okay, right, is that there are two different meanings. Okay, right. Two different meanings.
Okay. Let him change. No problem.
No. That's not the change of what I said before.
Yeah.
Your statement.
No, you said two different Qur'ans.
No.
You said
the statement
it's been
before.
recorded.
The statement before. That's not. I don't mind recording.
Okay.
The statement before was a simple statement. Okay, right?
You said two different Qur'ans.
You said that. And text.
Well. There's some people like a ton. Okay, who said there are like 31 different Qur'ans. Okay, right?
We have different. No. You're partly. We have different readings of the Qur'an. Yes.
Different readings
of the
okay,
same
right?
text.
Of the same text.
Of the same text.
So
we have different styles of reading.
Okay.
There are certain areas where certain words of the Qur'an are read differently by different regions, different people, right? But the text is absolutely the same. So when you do a comparison between the Bible and the Qur'an, there is no comparison.
So
because the Bible has textual variants, where the text is different. In the Qur'an, we have variants in readings, like certain words are pronounced. For example, Warsh and Hafs, right? Warsh is read by North Africans, Hafs is read by mainly the Middle Eastern countries, and there are certain slight variations in reading, in the delivery of words. So that's not two different Qur'ans. That's one Qur'an being read differently in different places by different people.
So why would there be two different readings? So you're saying that the readings are basically readings that come from the Razm text or the diacritical text?
Good question. Now, when the Americans, for example, or when the Scottish people speak the English language, right? They pronounce certain words in the English language different to the way English do.
True.
Okay.
True.
So there are certain slight change of the delivery of the word, right? So for example, when the Scots speak the same language, it sounds different, right? Yes?
Yes, we agree.
Okay. Likewise, the Arabs had different dialects when the Quran was revealed. So they were reading the Quran in the different dialects.
So your statement would be that the Arabic, okay, is dealing with the Razm or the diacritical text. In your instance here, you would be saying it's the diacritical text that counts. It is the because dialects rely on diacritical text, do they not?
Diacritical markings were added later on for non-Arabs.
Later on,
They were added for non because the Arabs knew what they were reading.
So you,
Arabs,
so you,
the diacritical markings. You're talking about the markings, right? For pronunciation, they were added later on.
Can I give you an example? Where are you from?
I'm from Pakistan.
Okay, say Babot.
Sorry,
Babot. Say the word.
I can't say it.
Exactly. Say it.
Babit.
Babot. See? I'm an Arab. Maybe I'm the only.
He will not be able to say P. He will not be able to say P.
Even in the Middle East, we can say Babot. He can't say.
I can't say ba like the Arabs can. No.
A Kurdish, let me finish. Even a Kurdish in Iraq, unless he lived for 2-3 generations, he cannot say ba. He has to say zabot. Now, when he says zabot, and I say babot, people like you will listen to the word differently, and it means the same thing.
So the bottom line is the language, the text, the content of the Quran.
Let me just finish and give examples.
Yeah.
So 1 second, one person say education, another lady say education.
okay.
So education and education both are the same meaning. Education and education. He educated himself and he educated himself.
So yeah.
Both the same.
So the point is these variants or these variant readings actually originate in the languages of the Arabs. They're reading the same content in a different way. So this is how simple it is. Yeah.
There's a,
If the Quran was different, we would know. Believe me, we would know.
Let me ask a question in that case.
Yeah.
In this case, okay, we're just talking about the Quran here. We're not going into all sorts of.
Yeah.
I don't have a great deal of time,
Yeah.
okay, but we're having a friendly conversation, and I do appreciate the sort of response you're giving, okay, right? There are two words, okay. There's the phrase, and I don't know which particular surah it is, but there's a story where it says the prophets fought or the prophets were killed.
Okay.
Right? It's kutala. I think it's kutala.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, right?
I understand your point.
Two different meanings.
Okay.
Are you saying that those are different meanings,
Very good
different
question.
readings, or different sort of whatever?
Very good
because
question.
To die is
Yeah.
different than to fight.
Okay, very good question. Amazing question. Now let's assume those two differences are there in the readings. Those two because both words are being read differently and they have a slightly different meaning, right? Without changing the context at all, right? Now the point is, this is how we know the Quran is preserved word by word, letter by letter, because even the differences we find in the readings are clearly defined. It's either one or the other. There is no third or the fourth or the fifth or the sixth option. You see, we know it's either one or the other. It's one of the two. So in both cases, our scholars say they can both be read. Okay, nothing is lost. In that case, wait.
So they're both right. Let me understand
Yes,
this.
yeah.
According to you, or according to Islam, they're both right,
Yeah.
and they're both written on the surah, the tablets.
So the limit is defined. We haven't lost the
Limit is
text.
defined, okay, right?
Okay. So do you understand? We haven't lost the text.
I understand your argument,
yeah.
okay?
The reading-
But let me ask you a supplementary argument, okay? Just a question on this, okay?
Yeah.
Because it is quite definitive.
That's assuming your example is correct. That's assuming.
Assume this
yeah,
is correct,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Right? And there's a faithful representation within the Quranic text, okay? So we then ask the question: if that text, okay, if everybody's all different at the time of Muhammad, okay, right?
No, not so different. No.
If there are different dialects, people are different at the time of Muhammad. We come to the time of Uthman, okay, right? We've already gone through the time of the Battle of Yamamah, okay, right? We've gone to the time of the Abu Bakr's Quran, and so why Uthman needed to write another Quran, etc., of another recension. We come to this kind of semblance that's written in sort of Sahih Bukhari, I think it is, about the dispute between sort of Muslims as to how it should be recited.
Who was disputing? That's a good point you raised.
There were Muslims who disputed.
Which
from different
Muslims?
areas, from different areas.
Which
okay?
Muslims?
From different areas.
No, who were they? That's very important. The
who-
context is very important.
Well, okay, we'll explain the context in this case.
The report in Bukhari states clearly that these were Muslims from Iraq and Syria. New Muslims,
New Muslims,
non-Arabs.
not Arab Muslims.
Yes,
okay?
predominantly non-Arabs.
So
No, wait. They are reading. Now, this dispute did not arise in the early period of Islam. This is when the expansion is happening. And where did the dispute happen? When these people were on a mission to conquer Armenia and Azerbaijan. Yes? The report clearly states that. Let me finish.
Okay, good.
The report clearly states that these people had come together
Right.
and they read the same Quran, same text in different ways. and a dispute arose, and they started to tell each other that their reading is not correct. Having seen that, one of the companions of the Prophet, a primary recipient of the Qur'an, came to Uthman and he said, now these new Muslims who have come to Islam do not, they obviously don't understand the intricacies of the Arabic language as the Arabs do. So he said, before the Muslims start to disagree about the text of the Qur'an like the Jews and the Christians have done, because the Jews and the Christians do, that's a fact. Wait, in the 7th century, one of the companions of the Prophet of Islam is stating a fact, that the Jews and the Christians are not united on their word of God. They don't know which particular version is the authoritative one. So therefore we, the living authorities, the primary recipients of the Qur'an, need to standardize it. Uthman agreed.
Why would you need to standardize the Quran when you already had Abu Bakr's Quran?
Okay, wait, yeah.
Why would you need to standardize the Quran?
What?
All that you would need to do, Adnan,
Good question.
is to go back to the Quran that Abu Bakr had and produce this Quran and say this is the Quran that was revealed to Muhammad.
Good question.
It was given to the Sahaba. They was recorded it, kept under Hafsa's bed for 20 odd years, and all you needed to do is produce it. Why would you need to produce yet another recension?
Good question. Very good question. It's a valid question. Because the Quran was produced by hundreds of thousands of Muslims around the world.
Many of whom had died at the Battle of Yamamah.
No, wait. You're not listening. Wait. Patient.
Just want to get that in.
The Muslims are in Azerbaijan. They have already conquered Egypt. Iraq has been conquered. So now Muslims are in hundreds of thousands. People have converted to Islam. People have come to Islam. They are reading the Quran and writing the Quran for their own convenience, right? There is no standard version of the Quran. Listen carefully. First, let me finish. Okay, it hasn't been standardized by anyone yet. The spelling, how to write it, people were writing it in their own way for their own convenience. For example, American spelling of color is C-O-L-O-R. Wait. I'm finished. Let me finish.
I'm listening carefully what you're saying.
The English spelling is C-O-L-O-U-R. Same word written differently by two different nations, right? So the Arabs, for that matter, were writing the Quran for their own convenience in their own spellings, right? Uthman's committee, when you study it in depth, what were they doing? What they did was the variant readings of the Quran in different dialects read by the different tribes of Arabs, they were narrowed down to one dialect, which was the Qurayshi dialect. Wait. So the delivery of the Quran was narrowed down to the Qurayshi dialect, and that particular delivery was put down in specific spellings. Spellings is the important word. You used the word rasam earlier, right? Rasam of Uthman. Yes. You know what rasam is?
It means it's the underlying,
the actual writing.
Writing text.
So Uthman, he supervised the committee of his companions, and they put down the Quran in one rasam, which was standardized by the living authorities who took the Quran directly from the Prophet. Now the copy we read today as Quran in two covers, this is not the Quran by the way, I'm giving an example, between two covers, was given to us by the direct disciples of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And, let me finish, those copies, or the copies of those copies are still extant. We have them, one in Cairo. Wait.
This is important.
Okay, wait. Let me finish. One in Cairo, one in Topkapi Museum, and many scattered around the world in different libraries, such as Sana manuscripts. When you put them all together, and when you read the text, it is exactly the same. Wait. From verse number 1 to the verse last of every single chapter of the Quran, it's exactly the same. Now, let me finish my challenge, then you can come back in.
I'm sure I understand.
Yeah. So if you pick up a parchment of Codex Sana from, let's say, a library in Germany, or if you were to pick up the Birmingham parchment, if you were to take a fragment from the Husseini Mosque, and it took the same chapter will be read exactly the same. Sorry, when I say read, the content, the wording is exactly the same, right? But when it is read in Warsh, slightly differently pronounced. When it's read in Hafs or Duri or Qalun or Ibn Kathir, it's pronounced, it's delivered differently. But when you pick up these manuscripts, ancient manuscripts, every single one of them is in uniformity with the other. Now, now, wait.
Let me challenge this in a minute.
Okay.
Adnan.
Okay, let me finish. And then you can. And if I am wrong, if you want to show me why I'm wrong, then you need to produce a parchment from, let's say, Germany in a library, which is from the 1st century, and a parchment from Egypt or parchment from Iraq, and show me there is a verse, look, differences in the writing of the Qur'an. There is a verse
So
different.
let me respond, okay?
So now show me that.
You're first.
We're having a decent conversation, sorry.
This is fine.
We're having a very decent conversation. It's his turn, by the way.
It's okay, sister. Right. Point number one. Your contest was that there was not by the time of Uthman a standard Quran, a standardized Quran. Your assertion
in reading it was, in memory it was.
That your assertion, okay, falls on one basic fact, Adnan, my friend. You had a Quran. You had Abu Bakr's Quran. The problem was that Abu Bakr's... No, I didn't
Let me correct you.
I did not interrupt you, my friend.
No, but it's an important correction.
You had Abu Bakr's
Quran was written. In the memories of men, the Quran was there.
In which case, all you needed to do was to take Abu Bakr's Quran and say, this is the true, real Quran. This is what you should be recited. This is what you should memorize.
Okay.
This is what you should learn.
Good point.
But you didn't.
Good point.
So what you did, you took a committee. Then that committee came together and said, we have a dispute over the way in which the Quran is recited. The question then becomes, how do you learn recitation without a manuscript? You don't just learn by Chinese whispers. You learn by a manuscript. You go back to the manuscript, you check against the manuscript, and you could not produce the manuscript. So nowadays, Adnan, you cannot produce Abu Bakr's Quran.
Thank you.
Abu Bakr's Quran, we know, is no longer in existence in this respect.
Yes.
But then again, we come to Uthman's Quran. We come to Uthman's Quran and we ask some basic questions. Why would Uthman need to produce the Quran in different dialects and narrow it down to the Qurayshi dialect? The reason he narrowed it down to the Qurayshi dialect is because he then turned around and said, this is going to be a one which is going to unite the different tribes, the different peoples. And since Muhammad was Qurayshi, we might as well make it Qurayshi. That is the reason why. So where are those Qurans? He sent those Qurans to 9 different provinces, I'll name a few of them, to Baghdad, to Basra, to Damascus, down to sort of Cairo, probably a number of other sort of provinces. 9 different provinces those Qurans went to. So the reasonable assumption would be to make, where are those Qurans today? You mention places like the Topkapi. The Topkapi by a man called Alta Kulic, who was a Turkish Muslim.
You're repeating J. Smith.
A Muslim guy.
And he won't help you.
Alta Kulic, who studied that.
Have you read the preface?
Adnan, I did not interrupt you, Adnan. Have some respect, my friend. He turned on and said that basically this is an 8th century, 9th century Quran. It is not a complete Quran. It is not complete. I have been asking Muslims, okay, the Salah palimpsest. The Salah palimpsest is one which has been discussed here at Speaker's Corner on a number of occasions. It was only discussed here today. The Salah palimpsest, a palimpsest is 2 different levels of writing, one lower, one upper. The lower, in many cases, does not correspond to the upper. Why would there be a change from the lower to the upper? Why would there be that change? Particularly when the palimpsest itself is not complete.
When are you stopping?
Hang on.
Because you're throwing a lot of things and it's going to take me a long time to respond to every single one of them.
Yeah, it's going to rain in a minute as well.
No, we can move under the tree. Yeah, move under the tree. I want to continue.
Yeah, that's what
He said, attack the dinosaurs.
I do appreciate the sort of tone of this, okay? Okay. So the Salah manuscripts, we looked at the Salah, the palimpsest, we looked at the Topkapi. There are other manuscripts, what's it, what did you say, in Cairo, again later. I would have a serious question, and I've asked this question genuinely, and I'm interested in the genuine question. The Quran consists of 114 surahs. Let's leave aside the fact that some of the earlier ones consisted of fewer or more surahs, okay? Let's leave that aside, okay? Let's assume that the Quran has 114 different surahs. And I have genuinely been asking this question of Muslims for a long time. And I would appreciate an answer on this.
Can I answer your first question?
Yeah, sure.
Before you put this question forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So firstly, you mentioned Hafsa's Quran was there. Why did we need another Quran? By the way, did you know who transcribed Hafsa's Quran? No,
go on.
That's a very important fact, right?
But was it transcribed?
Yeah, it was transcribed.
And was it in existence?
Yes.
And was it authenticated? Was it authentic?
Yes.
Yes. So it was authentic Quran.
Yes.
In which case the question still remains as to why it was not used by Usman. And
the important question is, did you know who transcribed it?
No.
Okay.
I'm in ignorance.
So do you plead ignorance? Ignorance. Okay. No problem.
I'm not an expert.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. Okay. So all of those questions you posed were genuine questions to learn.
Genuine questions. Absolutely.
Good. So now we're going to teach. No problem. That particular copy of Hafsa, which was with Hafsa, was compiled or transcribed by Zayd bin Thabit, a companion of the Prophet.
Okay,
let me finish.
I've heard the same.
Yeah. Okay. Zayd bin Thabit was the same man who compiled Uthmanic recension. He was the same scribe chosen by Uthman to do the task once again for a different purpose, because the purpose of Abu Bakr's collection or that compilation was to bring the content of the Quran in whatever form it was. I mean, without the standardization of spellings. Without the standardization of spellings, whatever convenient way Zayd bin Thabit knew to write the Quran in that early form, it was brought together in one copy at the time of Abu Bakr. That was the purpose of that particular compilation. The purpose of the second compilation, which was also conducted by Zayd bin Thabit, it was the same man scribing or transcribing the second copy at the time of Uthman, doing the same job for a different purpose. What was the purpose the second time? We see the purpose in the reports, which you might have failed to read carefully. Because when you read the reports carefully, the same reports tell you that Uthman commanded them to bring the Quran of Hafsa, which is in the possession of Hafsa, exactly. And in the light of that copy, transcribed this version, which is for a different purpose. The purpose was the standardization of the text, right? Now,
wait, you already had a standardized text.
No, it was not. This is the point I'm trying to explain to you. The first purpose was the compilation, in whatever convenient form it could be done. Let me finish.
So in which case, if you need a compilation to be brought together, then the original text, the original compilation would not have been complete.
Okay. Wait, you have to understand something, right? One is collecting of the information, the gathering of the information. That's one purpose. The second is the standardization of the final copy. This is what you have to understand. When people write books, I'll give you a simple example so that you can understand from a current example we can give. Right? Come under umbrella. Okay. Right. The example I want to give you is when an author writes a book, he gathers information. He puts all that information in a manuscript. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Then that very manuscript, which has one purpose in the beginning, and the purpose is collection of information. Once that's done, that same author, what he does, he goes to the second step of standardizing the collected information, or basically editing it, putting it in the final form he wants to send it out, right? This is exactly what happened with the first compilation under Abu Bakr. Because what was the issue? The issue was 70 reciters of the Quran had been killed. Umar came and he said this was a huge disaster. We have some Qur'an alive, therefore we have to collect the Quran. We have to collect the Quran, and the purpose was the collection. Jam. In the Arabic language, the word is jam.
So let me just ask you on that point. Let me just ask, okay? In terms of the Qur'an that died at Yamama, those Qur'an.
I embrace it.